Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I would like to talk about Surah 18 verse 86, the infamous verse that talks about how the sun sets into a muddy spring. Of course, here and there we're going to find some YouTube videos criticizing the message of the Quran, and they'll quote this verse because they'll say that, see, look at this verse. It says that the sun sets into a muddy spring. How silly is that? So let's talk about this. Now, when we read 1886 in its appropriate passage, we see that it talks about a man named Dhul Qarnayn, how he was traveling across the land. And in verse 86, it says, حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ مَغْرِبَ الشَّمْسِ, until when he reached the setting of the sun, وَجَدَهَا تَغْرُبُ فِي عَيْنٍ حَمِئَةٍ, he found it setting into a muddy spring. So here the claim is that the Quran makes an obvious error because it says that the sun sets into a muddy spring. So I have three things to mention here. First of all, language expression. As obvious as that is, it seems that these guys are forgetting this very simple concept of language expression. It is no different than the expression of sunrise and sunset. We say these terms almost every day in our lives, right? But we know that the sun doesn't rise nor does it set. We're only saying it for practical purposes as well as what we observe here on earth. The sun appears to rise and set, but in reality it does not. And we know that, and yet we still use these terms. So that's a very obvious thing that some people tend to overlook. Language expression is important to understand here, and the Quran does use language expression phraseology. So that's the first thing. The second thing, language precision. So the verse says, until when he reached setting of the sun, he found it setting into a muddy spring. The verse does not say, for example, until when he reached setting of the sun while it was setting into a muddy spring. So God says that he found it setting into a muddy spring. He does not say while it was setting into a muddy spring. Although the language may be subtle, the difference may be subtle, but the implications are significant. The Quran ensures that it is Dhul Qarnayn is the one who observed the setting of the sun, and it does not make the claim itself that the sun was setting into the muddy spring. So that's, again, language precision. Third point, and perhaps the most important point, is it is claimed that the usage of the Arabic word wajadaha, he found it, indicates that it was a factual event. And this is completely wrong. You see, the Arabic word wajadaha or wajada does signify finding something, but it does not necessarily signify a factual finding. And actually, there was one video that I watched in which he challenged the Arabs and the Muslims to find the Arabic word wajada in the Quran where it does not signify a factual event. And we don't really have to go too far. We can go within the same surah. In the same surah, it talks about the story of Prophet Moses, how he met with the wise man. And Moses wanted to follow this wise man. But the wise man told him, "You cannot stand to be with me." And Moses responded by saying, "Satajiduni insha'Allahu sabira." You will find me, God willing, patient. He said, "Satajiduni," you will find me. And guess what? As Moses went through the trial with the wise man did not find Moses to be patient at all. So there you have it. There you have the word wajada, where Moses himself observed within himself some patience. But as the trial went through, the wise man did not observe any patience within Moses. Moses factually observed within himself patience, but the wise man did not. Likewise, when we come to verse 86 of Surah 18, Dhul Qarnayn found the sun to be setting into a muddy spring. He found it. That was a factual observation, but it does not necessitate a factual event. So there you have it. This idea of the Quran talks about the sun setting into a muddy spring. Those 3 points are important to keep in mind. And to me, I honestly did not want to even address this particular claim, but there are several of you who actually asked me to address this claim. So I hope this addresses the claim. Wassalamu alaikum.